Quite often on some profiles you can see these decorative carvings that can be classified as geometric ornaments. So some of the most common examples are some beads like this, some ribbons, some very simple leaves that are repeated one after another like this. And another quite common example is the egg and dart carving. It has many different variations, but the basic idea is the same. We have this large round element and this smaller element between these round elements that can be a leaf, can be a dart, can be a tongue, or a simple arrow like this. And these egg and dart carvings have many different variations, but the basic principle for creating them is pretty much the same. Here you can see some drawings. Alright, and for all of these geometric ornaments, what you want to do is you want to break it down into some tileable elements. So for example, if you look at this here, you can see that you have to make one of these large leaves and a smaller piece here, and you can just copy them downwards and create the rest of this object. So for egg and dart you would make one leaf and one egg and just multiply that for as long as you need. And that's the same idea for all these geometric ornaments. And we're going to start with some basic examples. For example, this little ribbon here, it can probably be made by first creating a long cylinder. Okay, give it the thickness by giving it a radial profile and adjust it so it approximately matches with the reference. Right, let's collapse it to editable poly. And we can just slice it up using the slice plane tool. And I'm going to slice it at about 45 degrees. And split it. Okay, let's get rid of these outer elements. I'm going to make a copy over here as an instance, just so I can see how they look next to each other. When I adjust one of them, they all will be modified. Okay, and just move these vertices into the correct shape. And if there's not enough detail, you should probably start with a higher poly count for the profile. Okay, let's adjust the back. Right, so that's the start. Let's delete everything on the back side. Actually, maybe let's leave one of the polys like this, so to give it some sort of undercutting. Okay. And finally, let's give it some shell to complete the element. Okay, the value looks about right, and we can get by with a single segment. And if you wish, you can chamfer some of these edges just to make them appear a bit more natural. Right, and since it's such a small element and it's not going to be seen very up close, it's probably going to be in a distance like this. I think the poly count is high enough for what it is. And to create more segments, just make some instances. Okay, and when you have the correct length, just delete everything except that, and you can get this element as long as you need it to be. Okay, so very simple, just creating one tileable element can give you this profile for as long piece as you need it. Right. So let's look at some other examples, and maybe let's try this ribbon woven around a stick or something like that. Okay, I think this example is pretty similar, so let's use this one. The only difference is that in this photo you can get by with a single element, but in this photo you have this upper element and this lower element that's a bit longer than here. Here it's really not visible at all. And so let's start by creating a line just like before, and I'm going to use a very similar technique. Okay, maybe let's slightly increase the sides to 16, since this has more detail. It might be needed. Okay, so let's start by cutting it off with slice plane. Again, I'm going to use the split option. And I'm going to add another cut here, but I'm going to disable the split option since I don't want to split these into two parts. Okay, so now we can delete these outer elements, and what is left is this single piece over here. Right, so let's adjust the vertices. First, I'm going to make a copy, actually an instance on both sides, so you can see how they work together. And now we're ready to adjust some elements. Okay, let's move these inwards a bit. And try to follow the shape. Right, that seems about right. And let's cut in over here for some additional detail. Okay, and I'm going to delete these polys over here. Okay, and from the top, I'm also going to delete these polys, as they are not really needed. Alright. We've been slightly simplified by using target weld. and getting rid of some of these vertices. That's a good start, I think. Okay, so as you can see, this ribbon has a slight cut over here, and we're gonna add that with the cut tool by following the rough shape of the cut. Right, and I'm gonna go ahead and finish it up until it connects up to the edge, like this. Okay, so we are ready to extrude these edges inwards a little bit. Just the center ones, set the height to a negative value and increase the width a bit. I think this will look okay. Target all these vertices over here so they meet up with the next one. And we're gonna chamfer these to get a harder crease. Okay, let's blend these together with target hold. Okay. Let's try selecting this edge ring and connecting it. Just so we can make it a bit more rounded. Now let's try to smooth all the polys by using the auto smooth option. And if you're not going to see it too up close, you can get by with something like this. But if you're going to use it for some close-ups, you can add shell, set the segments to maybe 2, and add also some turbo smooth for perfect results. But it's going to give you a higher poly count. Okay. And we also need to create this element over here in between these outer parts. So let's create another line. And slice it up a bit. Okay, at 45 degrees. 1 and 2. So deleted all the front polys. And let's move it to match the other part. Or at least approximately match it. Okay, maybe scale slightly smaller since it's a bit too large. And let's add some more segments here. And then we can scale this part smaller. And round those edges a bit. Right, then I'm gonna flatten it a bit. Like this. Give it shell. Maybe slightly smaller amount. Okay, I'm gonna extend it a bit further into this part, just so you can see the holes. And basically that's it. Collapse to editable poly. Chamfer these edges a bit. And that's your tileable element. And you can just create as many instances as you need. Okay, let's give it a single color. And to create this inner wire or string or whatever it is, you can just make a thin line. In the middle. And extend it as far as you need. Okay, so that's the basic idea for some simple geometric patterns that are repeated one after another.